College of Business. I'm excited to be here today, especially alongside Varsha.
Hey, you guys. I'm Varsha Comrady, currently a junior at the university, majoring in business management. And just like Mackenzie said, I'm so excited to get to talk to you guys today about self care during COVID. We can go to the next slide.
So, today we're really going to talk about something that has been put to kind of the forefront of our organization and um, especially for this year, because this year has been completely unpredictable. At first, we thought it was going to last a few weeks, then a few months, and now it looks like we're going to be in this for a while. So, we definitely have to keep in mind that this is for the long run. We need to develop habits and different tactics that we can use in our lives to help make this more bearable and to help make sure that we're still staying on track and taking care of ourselves and making sure that um, we're doing our best to keep our mental health in check, productivity, time management, and communication with others at top notch. And then we're also going to address how we can implement this in our everyday life.
All right. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about leading from home and mental health awareness. No doubt that we are living in unprecedented times right now due to COVID-19. In fact, a lot of us have been required to work and lead from home, and this is actually our first time doing so. So, with this happening, there's a lot of new, unique challenges that are being presented to us. And although that we are having to now navigate these uncharted waters, it is very important that we also find new ways to work and interact while also taking care of ourselves, both mentally and physically. So for me personally, I know quite a few people that are actually teleworking full time for the first time from home, and they are completely isolated from their coworkers, their friends, their family, which is a new environment that they've never really been exposed to. And all of this shuffling around and this jumbling and these changes have disrupted a lot of our daily lives. I think that we can all raise our hand to that one. But most importantly, all of these changes have actually elevated levels of stress and strain, be that physically, mentally, spiritually, financially. But what I want to talk about is how normal and natural that is. It is completely natural for this disruption and uncertainty to lead to anxiety and stress in many individuals, whether it be faculty, staff, students, especially. I have two brothers in high school, and I cannot tell you how many times they've wanted to just break down and cry at the dinner table. So I completely understand. And I just want to emphasize that it's completely natural because, again, this is something that we've never dealt with before. And because of this, now more than ever, it is so, so, so important and vital that we take care of our mental health and well being. And as we protect ourselves against potential exposure physically, I think it's even more important to make sure that we're protecting ourselves mentally. So please keep in mind as we go throughout the rest of this PowerPoint and even after the PowerPoint that social distancing does not necessarily mean social isolation. So we're actually going to show you guys a few resources and tips on how to take care of your mental health and well-being. And before I turn it over to Mackenzie, I just want you guys to keep in mind that being positive and maintaining a positive attitude has a ripple effect and a snowball effect, and it can greatly impact not only yourself, but those around you, be those that you work with in close relation or even those that you communicate with over Zoom, especially with our professors and other students during these times that are unmotivating. But we're going to let Mackenzie talk to you guys about a few tips and tricks, and then we'll head into the next slide.
All right, so isolation, how do we take care of ourselves? How do we take care of others? And how do we know when we're getting back into that dark spot or a bad spot or a place that we don't want to be? So, like Varsha said, social distancing does not equal social isolation. We have the privilege to have so much technology that is very, very great, and we're able to talk to people, communicate like this as close to normal as we possibly can. So utilize these resources. Reach out to someone you trust if you see signs of isolation in yourself or others. I know that this has been very difficult for me for the past few months, and my New Year's resolution this year was to really focus on being positive. And so, one of the things that I've done is I get up about 30 minutes earlier every day. I spend some time with myself. I read or I listen to music. Doing things like this just to kind of start my day off correctly, make sure that I'm in a good mindset before I go to work. Because typically, when you're commuting to work, you get to drive in the car, listen to podcasts, something like that. Well, now our routines don't have space for that anymore. So we need to make that space. Make that space so you can be in a good mindset before you start your day. And I've noticed that the month of January, I've been much more positive. I don't dread going to my shift at work. I enjoy my job. And when you have that positive mindset, it continually flows out to other people. I work in a really great company where they really emphasize being positive, being teammates, being there for each other. And so that has had a ripple effect. So it really does help other people. So even if at first you feel like you're faking it, you got to fake it till you make it, because I guarantee that you have this mindset, you keep pushing forward into it, and then you'll start to become more positive. So on this slide right here, you can look through it. It's things to look for in yourself. So, what increases your anxiety? If you look more at media or social media, right now, I'm not on any social media at all because I noticed that that was one of the things that got to me. So, don't get on social media if that is something that can trigger you or make you feel like you're getting into a bad spot. Look what to look for in others. So see if they're having anger issues or something just out of character, or they're increasing alcohol, tobacco, or other drug use. Things like this can really get very intense very fast. So look at these small things and see if somebody around you may need help. Tips and tricks for self care. Like I said, limit media exposure, but still stay informed. There's a very fine line between being constantly in the news and constantly being surrounded by all of this stuff, and then also making sure that you're well informed and you know what's going on. There's a big difference there. Positive thoughts lead to positive emotions. Write down your worries and evaluate what is within your control. Sometimes we get into a mindset where we have 2 or 3 minutes and we're just absolutely spiraling because all of our worries, all of our concerns, we're scared. If you write those down, you can go back in a few hours and look back at it and realize, okay, I'm okay now. I'm in a better situation. I can think through it logically rather than letting my emotions control me. And then tips and tricks for helping others. Um, Listen carefully, show empathy, and do what you can do to help. So nobody's expecting you to be a full-time counselor, but maybe you can point them to a resource like that. Just listen, let them know that you understand what they're going through, that it is hard, and that it is okay to not be okay right now, as long as you're taking care of yourself to the best of your ability.
All right. So we talked a little bit about both mental health, but now I really want to focus on productivity and time management. So Kinsey and I put together about 10 tips for working from home. I'm going to take you guys through the first five, and then she'll take y'all through the other five. But number one says creating a workspace in your home. I don't know if you know how important this is, but if you do not have an area that your mind associates with productivity and work, a lot of the times you end up not being as efficient and effective as you would typically be. I'm not sure about y'all, but a majority of my classes last semester were online. And last semester taught me that I'm definitely an in person student. I slacked off all the time. I was attending classes on my bed. And I guess my mind associates my bed with sleep. So instead of being as focused as I should have been, I think I was dozing off. And obviously, we've got our phones and all of that stuff that helps even more. But what I do is I actually study at my dining table. I do that at home, and I actually do that here at Chattanooga in my apartment. And all three of my roommates and I, we do that at the dining table. And not only do we affiliate that with food, which is yummy, but that's also kind of our downtime to sit down and work together. And I've also noticed that when I work with someone, Although I am extremely talkative, they do help me stay accountable and make sure that I'm staying on track and completing my work. So, if it's possible, just make sure you guys set aside a place to work at home where your job will not intrude on your family activities and vice versa. And instead of checking your emails or your texts or your voicemails or sending out calls in front of the TV, try and find a quieter place with minimal traffic, so not a lot of people coming in and out, and just see how much that'll help you guys focus and if it's more effective. And if you are someone that can zone in completely, even with surroundings and distractions, then by all means do so. I have just learned that I'm someone who needs my quiet space and my downtime in order to be as effective as possible. So number two talks about establishing a morning routine. Kinsey kind of touched on it about how, she used to listen to podcasts and stuff on her way to work. And now that not a lot of us are driving to work and just opening our laptop, we forget to do those little things. So establishing a morning routine is very important, but sticking to it is even more important. Just because we are working remotely or attending school remotely does not mean that we don't need to get ready in the morning and look part for what it is we are doing. Something that I have realized is when I look good, I feel good. And when I feel good, I do great. So even if that is just dressing your upper half, even if you want to be in pajamas on your bottom half that can't be seen, put on a nice shirt. Girls, put some earrings on. Guys, maybe a tie. Do your hair, anything that makes you feel more confident. Because when you feel confident, you tend to display yourself as a more confident individual, which helps you achieve a lot more and opens a lot more doors for opportunity. So just make sure that you guys are trying to establish some form of routine. Number three kind of goes hand in hand with establishing the routine. It's just making sure that you have a regular schedule. I think this is important because something that I have found is people are either working too much or too little, eating too much or too little, and there's not a good balance. I personally will sometimes start working so much that I forget to eat, which is not healthy at all because I definitely am a hangry person. So I have to make sure that at all times I am full and content. But an example of a schedule could literally be something as simple as at 7 a.m., wake up, stretch, maybe take your dog for a walk. 7:30, grab a bowl of cereal or some breakfast, make some eggs, chit chat with your family for a little bit. Around 8:30, get onto your laptop, check your emails, check your work, make the phone calls that you need to make. Maybe have lunch around 12, get out, go stretch, take an exercise. Don't sit at your laptop all day. You could say around 1, you could work with breaks in between, and then around 5 or 6, have some dinner, and then 7:30, have some time for yourself. At least an hour a day, you guys need to allot some time for yourself, and I cannot tell you how insanely positive that has been on my life to set aside an hour a day for just me. And number 4, establishing boundaries. So this is really important. If any of y'all have siblings and had to go back home during break, I feel like you would understand exactly what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure my brothers hate me, but when I was home, they loved me. And I would be on my calls with my employers and they would just come and sit with me and ask me the random questions like, hey, do you know that if a giraffe drinks coffee, it's probably cold by the time it gets to its stomach? Like, what? I was like, are you serious? And I was literally talking to my boss, and he was like, is now not a good time? I was like, no, now is a perfect time. And I looked at my brother like, you need to get out. So it is really important that you guys set those boundaries, especially if you're at home. Let them know, hey, from this time to this time, I cannot be interrupted. Or from this time to this time, do not come into my room. But while you're doing that for them, you need to also make sure that you're setting boundaries for yourself. So don't work crazy, crazy late into the night or early, early into the morning. Make sure that you're working reasonable hours so that you still can live the rest of your life. And then last but not least, scheduling your breaks and downtime. This is also so important. So just make sure that you take a few minutes, whether that's in the morning, afternoon, or at night, to honor your normal times, whether that's lunch, dinner, bathroom breaks, whatever it may be. And just make sure that you're taking care of your nutritional and mental health while that you're doing this. And always remember that while everything is being rescheduled, it is still important to take some time for yourself and to eat. So those are our top 5 first, and Kinsey's going to talk to y'all about the other 5.
All right, so number 6, communicate frequently with your peers, supervisors, and fellow organization members to stay informed. This applies to your workspace, this applies to classes that you're in. I know that for me, it's really important to find other classmates to keep me accountable and make sure that I'm learning everything that I can to switch notes with. And it's a lot harder to do it when you're in online classes. So reach out, find, make a group me, do things like that. Make sure that you're communicating with your classmates and with your peers, and also make sure you're communicating with your supervisors. Um, but you have to be social contact. Stay connected with family, friends, and a support system using things like FaceTime and Skype. I talked about all of this technology that we have, that's right literally at the tip of our fingers, so use it. um, we have to still stay connected with the people that matter to us and the people that we trust. And that way, if we're in a situation where we do need to reach out and get help, or we just need somebody to talk to, we can have that. And it's not as intimidating when you're constantly staying in contact with somebody. And number 8, limit media consumption. Like I said, there's a big difference between being informed and just being overwhelmed by what you're seeing. Know your boundaries, know your limits, know what is the right amount for you. Make sure that you stay informed with the facts. Try not to let emotions take over, try not to let fear take over. And number 9, remember to seek out the positive and reflect on it. A lot of times it's hard for us to get out of our own heads and reflect on things that do make us grateful, but we still are living really great lives, and we have to just find one or two things a day that we're very happy about. I'm glad that I have really great roommates that I get to live with. That's something that I can be grateful for every day, no matter what's going on in my life. Find out the little things. And number 10, stay grounded to your purpose. I know right now it feels like the future is so uncertain and so unseen. We have no clue what's going to happen, but your purpose is still the same. What is your why? What is your motivation for why you're here? What is your motivation for going to work? Find your purpose and make sure that you stick and stay grounded to it. It'll make a big difference. It'll make a big difference in the long run.
All right, you guys. So Kenzie and I gave you a few tips and tricks, but these are just additional resources that are easily applicable to your life. So obviously, that first category is mental health resources. Again, I cannot emphasize how important it is that you guys take care of your mental health and just make sure that you are staying on track for that. And then also the last category is obviously leading from home, productivity and time management. And I know we're hitting a bit of time, but I just wanted to take some time to talk about this because I work really closely with a lot of freshmen. And something that I've heard from almost all of them, including peers and even faculty, is how unmotivated we are feeling with these times. And another common phrase that I keep hearing is, I'm failing. I think it's kind of common for a lot of people to think they might be failing or they're behind. But if y'all remember, almost a year ago, the whole world was put on pause. So essentially, we were all failing at some point. But instead of looking at it as failing, just look at it as you are taking your so sweet time. They always say slow and steady wins the race. So these are just some good tips for you guys to increase that productivity and time management. If you're ever feeling unmotivated or just don't have any desire to get out of bed, whether it be professional, personal, and or academic. So just make sure that you guys are taking care of yourselves and putting yourselves first and foremost, always. And if you guys ever need any help, Mackenzie and I are here. Any of the faculty and staff are here, but I am going to toss it over to her to close us up. And thank y'all so much for letting us speak with you today.
Yeah, so really, we would just want everybody to have a great semester. If there's any questions, now would be the time for that. We'd love to answer anything that you have, or even just comments or tips and tricks that you guys have used that have really helped you all out during this time.
I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for this presentation because all the tips that you gave, like I've been trying to focus on, and some are definitely like easier than others. But one thing that I've found that has helped like so much is gratitude. Like starting the day off with gratitude is insane. Like it makes the whole day completely like so much better. So I think that's a great tip. So thank you guys for everything.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo that. Mackenzie and Varsha, thank you so much for a fantastic presentation. And I really liked, I didn't like it. I love the fact that you're saying, hey, realize the moment that we're in, reach out to others, get connected, but really try to strive for something that would represent some kind of normalcy to you. So I love the encouragement to incorporate the right kind of productivity hacks to make sure that your morning gets you off to a good start. And I think Abigail mentioned that same thing about something that she's discovered that's really making the difference for her. So I think find the thing that works best for you, communicate that, share that. I think that that's a really great way to predict success is to develop those successful habits. So thank you so much for being so generous with your time and with your advice this morning.
Thank you.
Okay, so if there's no other questions for Mackenzie and Varsha, please allow me to again appreciate you both for agreeing to present on this very important topic. It's the chat room is just being flooded with a lot of appreciation. So hopefully you guys are checking that out as well. We'll go ahead and bounce out of this session. It's our next session is going to be about decoding and diagramming job descriptions. And then in the other room, we've got a talk around responsible use of social media and other communication platforms. So hopefully like Mark's conversation is gonna be better than mine about social media, but I really hope that either session you choose is gonna be great. And then we'll wrap up with a conversation with Lindsay Sneckenberger from TVA talking about using LinkedIn, and then also Ashton Adams who we're talking about considering graduate school. So thank you again, Mackenzie, and for Varsha for leading this conversation. And thank you so much for my friends over in the Rollins College of Business who saw a ton of value in this. So I really appreciate your partnership and support. So thank you so much.